and I realized that the link for the contact form had broke. Somewhere in one of the updates, the contact page wasn't there anymore. It just showed a 404 error. So here I am thinking no one likes me, and the reality is people wanted to get tattooed by me, but there was a problem with my site. Hi, I'm Matt, and I am a tattoo artist in St. Louis, Missouri. I've been tattooing for 30 years, and I'm here to help people get a little bit busier with their career. I think the first thing we need to realize is that, when we say we're a tattoo artist, we like to work, and our high comes from working. Basically, when we start tattooing, the longer the tattoo, the longer we can be in our flow state. That's when the world disappears and life just feels good. That's why we don't like little tattoos, because we don't get to stay in that flow state very long. And since we're so addicted to it, we just want to run and get to the next tattoo. But we have to take a little bit of time and put some administration work in and work on our web page. That's what we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of things in the list of things you can work on, but the web page is one that is really underused, and there's it's good enough type symptom. I mean, how many people out there have been like, oh yeah, I've got a web page. My best friend's working on it right now. I mean, your website should be one of your number one ways you're making money when it comes to word of mouth. When they hear you, they should Google you, they should find your website, and there should be a lot to discover about you and how you're going to help people. So let's get into that really quick. I want to talk about about 9 things I want to talk about when it comes to understanding how people interact with your website after they hear your name for the first time. So what that means is there's an acquisition phase to getting a client, and that's broken down into an awareness phase, a consideration phase, and then a commitment phase. And so the awareness phase is that first time they hear your name. That's awareness. The second thing they do is they Google you and they go into the consideration phase. And believe it or not, the consideration phase isn't like them trying to figure out if you are the right person. They're trying to figure out why you're not the right person. So, humans are negative by default. We're always looking for a negative bias because that's how we survive. So when it comes to purchases and stuff like that, even when it comes to tattooing, normally we're not really looking for why we should do business. We're skeptical. We're trying to figure out why we shouldn't do business. So our website is our advocate. It's our number one referee, or not referee. It's our number one cheerleader. It's the thing that's going to convince them that don't worry, we got you. Everyone starts off with something called cognitive dissonance, which basically in a nutshell means I really want this, I'm afraid to get it. And so what our real enemy isn't convincing people we're good. We're trying to convince people we're safe, that we're a good choice for them, that when they do business with us, they won't regret it. So there's something called search intent. Now that's a prompt. That's what we put into Google, but the technical name is search intent. And so when we get down to search intent, one of the things that we have to understand is how keywords work. And these keywords are things we're going to hide or add or put into our website. These are the things we want to see. So we want to identify what keywords we want to use throughout our website. For instance, tattoo artist, pretty generic. Tattoo artist in St. Louis, better. Black and gray tattoo artists in St. Louis, having a phrase like that is drilling it down even more. And then if you get really technical, you could be like, vegan tattoo artist, black and gray in St. Louis. Then you're really talking to a specific group. And that's when you really start to get your crowd or get your people, is when you know how to do that. Another example would be if you do Japanese tattooing, just saying Japanese tattooing is kind of bland. But when you say I do Japanese dragon tattoos, that starts to get a a little bit more traction. So there is a Google website you can go to and type in what words get searched more. And what you're going to find is that people really drill down their search intents. We're learning how to search better. So for instance, we say, I want to go to a Mexican restaurant or a Mexican restaurant near me. a Mexican restaurant with a vegan menu. Like we've learned to drill down our search engines. So people are getting more specific with their requests. So that's the first thing, is when you understand search intent, you can start to understand SEO, or search engine optimization. So we want to add words on our website that the search engines will see, so that we can pair a good search intent when people Google us with our website, So that's what that boils down to. These are called keywords. And then we get into more like long tail keywords. For instance, like instead of saying, just adding, like this is a generic one, but instead of saying shoes, people are going to type something like best running shoes for flat feet. So sometimes people might type something like, how do tattoos heal on dry skin? If you had an FAQ inside of your website, that phrase right there is going to get found, and it's going to drive people to your website. So having places where you can add long tail, longer descriptions. What would another one be? Tattoos for skin over 50 years old. These are concerns people have. So the more you can add these really drilled down things that people are searching for, the better it's going to be. And even some of the generic ones, like best tattoo artist in St. Louis. I mean, that's what people search for. And there's some tricks to it too. Like you can hide those phrases in the metadata in your photos that no one can see, but they have to be in there somewhere, so that your Google will search it and find it. So these are kind of called on-page elements. So your title tags, these are called like meta descriptions. Like when you have an image on your website, there's a place where you can title it. That's important. Having the correct format on your website, having good headers, having content structure, so it goes like header 1, header 2, header 3, and whatever that text needs to be in between. So are you looking for a tattoo artist in St. Louis? Header 1. My name's Matt and I tattoo in St. Louis, blah, blah, blah. Here are my specialties. Then go to header 2. Japanese, header 3. American traditional. And so when you start to just get away from just these quick little paragraphs, you can actually build a website that is friendly for the SEO to find. So that's why that's important. And then last but not least, internal linking when it comes to optimizing your what they call the on-page elements. So internal linking is basically like you have a landing page, and then you can click to go see a bio. You can click to go see an FAQ. You can click to go see your photos of your work. And when people start to click around inside of your website, that'll actually help with visibility when it comes to SEO as well. Next is going to be the having a positive user experience. This is what they call UX, or UX design. This means user experience. Make sure your website is optimized for mobile. Make sure that something like 80% of all traffic that goes to your website is going to be from a mobile device. I mean, we've done it before. Like I've tried to do business with I tried to get a dumpster ordered to clear out a piece of property, and all the websites for people who do the dumpster removals, it was impossible to read what they offered on my mobile. I had to go home and use my computer to figure these out. When it comes to trying to get that word of mouth to consideration, if they have to do a lot of work, they're going to move on. So make sure that your mobile optimization is set. Make sure you have good speed on your page. It's something like if a website takes longer than 2.5 seconds, they actually get bored and click away. That's how much of a window you have. How small of a window is 2.5 seconds. So you can look into that and make sure that your web service provider is fast, and make sure that you're not bogging it down by having really, really large files. Some people make the mistake of having very high resolution photos on their website, and they just take way too long to load. So there's a sweet spot there. So that's something else you can look into. And then the next thing we're going to go over is building backlinks. Building backlinks are pretty important because this is how we kind of spread out across the internet. The more backlinks you have, the higher visibility your website is going to be. And a backlink is basically anytime somebody has a button or a hyperlink on their website, and it leads them to your website. That's called a backlink. So these are great if you've ever done a podcast, if you've ever done an interview, you ever been in a festival or an event or a convention, and they list your name with your website. The more places you can get this, the higher your website's going to show up in the search results. So building backlinks, you can do blogging, you can collaborate with other tattoo artists or other local businesses is even better, and stuff like that. So the more backlinks, the better. Having local backlinks is even way better. So if you do an event, say with your local humane society, make sure that they say, and we've partnered up with Matt Hodel at matthodeltattoo.com. Then some of the best practices for SEO, and SEO is really technical, so I'm not going to really, there's enough videos out there that's going to go into the technical aspects of SEO. I'm just telling you, listen, these are the things SEO wants. You don't have to know how exactly it works, but these are what it wants. So the technical side of SEO ensures that the search engines, when they crawl your page and index your site, it's done effectively. So this, in a nutshell, think of these little bots, these little computer programs that are constantly searching the internet, looking for any new things that pop up, and they index them. They basically put them all in order like a ginormous map inside of the Google headquarters. And the easier you make it for them to understand, basically imagine this. You think back to high school and how organized was your homework? Could anyone pick up your homework and understand what was going on? Or was it all chicken scratch? When you took notes in lectures, was it all chicken scratch or was it organized? Could you give your notes to someone else and could they benefit from them? So this is kind of what we're talking about. Is you're giving SEO, you're giving Google your notes, and they have to be organized. That's why a lot of this stuff is super important. So optimizing your site structure, using clean URLs is what they call them. That's for instance, I have matthodeltattoo.com. That's my URL. Try not to make them too complicated, like tattoos by MJB or tattoos by CBD or whatever. And one of the funniest ones is when you have the word art in there, and you have something like staff art. It's going to read staff fart. So look at your URLs and don't panic if you have a bad one, because you can always buy a new one and redirect it. It's not the end of the world. Just because you bought one URL or domain doesn't mean that you're stuck with it. So having a really easy to remember URL, having one that's easy to type out. I remember there's a company I was trying to help, and they had a hyphen in theirs. It was good hyphen tattooing hyphen for you hyphen something or other. It's nobody remembers that. If I got to keep looking back and trying to remember how they spelled it, it's like somebody with a name and they spell it awkward. Well, I didn't know Philip with a whatever PHY. No one spells it like that. So why would I remember that? And then they have something called a sitemap. Basically, this is kind of hard to go into, and it might be too much for this conversation, but Google XML sitemaps, and there'll be some descriptions of what that looks like, and you can compare your website and make sure you have a decent sitemap. Basically, it's kind of like a map. If you were to go to a theme park, you want to know where you're at. The better the map, the more you can get out of the theme park. Imagine this: you go to Disney World and you go home, and everyone's like, "Oh, did you go check out the the Harry Potter ride that did loop-de-loops?" And you're like, "No, I didn't see it on the map." Well, if it was a good map, they would have pointed it out really easy. So making sure that you have a really nice layout. Content is king in the realm of SEO. Value-driven content. Did they get anything by visiting your page? Did they get care instructions? Did they get advice? One of the things I like to do is 5 mistakes a first timer makes. Anything like that where people are already going through the internet and trying to figure out how to get a tattoo before they even heard of you. So you can pop up on people's radar just by giving out free value. That's why blogging is super powerful. If you have like informative, engaging content that addresses a lot of the user or potential client's needs, and you regularly you're updating those, like say you blog, once a week. And honestly, man, in today's age, you can do like I'm doing right now and just talk, and then take that transcript and put it through ChatGPT and turn it into like what I'm talking about today. I could probably make 3 to 4 blogs out of just using ChatGPT. So it's still your content. Maybe you just suck at sitting down and writing. So there's a lot of tools nowadays to make this easier. And so you could literally like talk 10 blogs on a Saturday, use ChatGPT, organize them, and then put those on a calendar where they get posted automatically. And you could basically make your content at the first of every month. So you wouldn't have to try to remember it once a week. I think that's where people get bogged down in general with social media, is they think that they got to do it daily. Like at Jackpot, we have a lot of posting that we do. It's value-driven content, and we actually create all that in about 4 hours on a Saturday. It's like the first Saturday of the month. Me and my assistant sit down, and we have a little system. And because of that system, we're able to get a lot done in a short amount of time. That way we're not like every day going, what should we post today? So the last one this one's interesting because, I never really gave it much thought until I've been doing it myself. See, the future of tattooing is in client behavior, and that's how people shop. And honestly, like the more I shop, I just use my phone. I say, I'll ask it a question like, give me direction to the closest Mexican restaurant. That's called a voice search, and it's going to pop up. It's going to show me 3 of them right there. If you are a street shop, this is really handy. So making sure you're optimized for a voice search. There's services out there that can help you with that. But your voice search, one of the things that helps with the voice search is most people, when they do websites, they try to get too technical with it, and they tend to speak in a high language. It's an unnatural language. They don't even speak like that when you talk to them. They just want to sound professional. In this day and age, it's like the individual wants to sound corporate and the corporate wants to sound like an individual. So just sound like an individual, sound relatable. So using conversational keywords and natural language in your content. And stop using so many industry words. Like, I mean, believe it or not, even the word portfolio is an industry word. Now, I'm sure a lot of people know what a portfolio is, but to the ones that don't, it's just confusing. So instead of saying, do you want to see my portfolio? You can always say, do you want to see pictures of my tattoos? Do you want to see pictures of my dragon tattoos? Whatever. These are really important. These are really important tips because I don't mean to pick on any shop in particular, but I'm going to show you 2 websites, and one utilizes a lot of this stuff and the other one doesn't. I mean, the other one just has the bare minimum bio of what they are, but they don't tell you what they do for you. And I think that's important whenever you're doing this stuff, is when you lay out a website, don't put content on there that is like I. Like, I am a graduate of this. I love black and gray. I love this. Like, that's terrible. Like, I don't go and look for a gardener and be like, oh, I wonder what this, where this gardener graduated gardener school from. I mean, it might be impressive, but at the end of the day, can they get to me this week? Are they cheap? Are they expensive? What services do they offer? What can they do for me? Do they just mow grass, or do they do landscaping as well? So, think about how other industries work and how we like to purchase and get services in other industries, and what we want to know, and then flip it around on the tattooing. Like, put yourself in the shoes of someone who's wanting to get tattooed. If they go to your site and it's just like, well, that's great that this person, has been tattooing for 10 years, and that's fine, but do they, do they accommodate service animals? Do they accommodate wheelchairs? Will they take my vision and draw for me? Can I see the drawing ahead of time? These are the things that people want to know. Do they do appointments, or can I just come in today? They want to know what you can do for them. So the more language you can put like that in there, that's better. And at the end of the day, a lot of this, some sites are generic like Squarespace and Wix. Some get a little more in depth like WordPress, but they all have an analytics. They all can show you what's working and what's not working. And this is kind of the important part. And this is where understanding how the funnel works, because the goal of getting them to your website is to click book an appointment with me, or book a consultation with me, or call me, or email me, or something. You're wanting to make contact. That's the whole point of your website. And if you're looking at your website and you're seeing that, you get 100 visitors a day, but only 2 people are clicking contact me, why is that? Is the button hidden? Is it hidden in the bottom? Is it hard to see? Do you not have one? Is it on the 3rd page? Is it only on the bio page? Like, you can actually start to kind of use your analytics to figure out when a client's behavior is on your website, what they are missing, what they're